Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Sunday Spin. Our man Vinny usually does the intro here, so I'm going to do the best I can to wing it. But yeah, brought to you by our friends Grooves Records in San Francisco and our illustrious friends here in Colorado Springs, What's Left Records, who just put on a kick-ass show last night. Good punk rock music. And speaking of, we got an awesome guest. First, want to introduce my co-host, Nikki Wabash Cannons. How are you, my dear?
I'm doing great, Glenn. It's good to see you. Nice to meet you, Dave. Yeah, things are good. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so tore up. I actually wrote that's my name today. K6 tore up because I'm really tired. Didn't get home till almost 3, so I'm okay though. I'm here. I'm rallying.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you. And yeah, Dave Markey. Dave, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate your time. I know that you have a new book out. You just had a show. Lots of stuff going on. So thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
Pretty good. How about you?
Doing good, man. Thank you so much. So yeah, I kind of want to start again, since it's your second time on the show, and we covered a lot of the stuff that you've done before with, Sin 34 and your movies, We Got Power and stuff. Wanted to talk a little bit about your new book and then the show that you just finished up. How's all that going?
Well, the first edition of this thing is sold out. They're running a second edition right now. And this is the book, Scenes from Inside, came out this summer. It's pretty thick, and it's just primarily a photo book with some text at the beginning, introduction by Thurston Moore, and then an interview with my longtime friend interviews me, Jennifer Schwartz. And then from there, it's just about 250 odd photos or something like that. But yeah.
That's awesome.
There you have it.
And how long did it take you to put all this together? I know it's kind of a comprehensive look at, the photographs that you've done over decades now. So
it went on for just about a year. And it was just sort of me working back and forth with the publishers who were based out of Izmir, Turkey. So a lot of times it was all done through chats such as this. And it was just about a year's worth of back and forth, digging deep, finding photos even at the last minute. Actually, the second edition is going to have 4 additional photos published as well. So it's still evolving.
Right. Well, congratulations on selling out on the first edition. That's awesome. And are people the second edition? When's that going to be available for folks that missed the first time?
I hope before the holidays. I hope in early December.
That'd be perfect. Yeah, definitely.
But then again, we're dealing with the situation over there in Turkey that could change anytime.
Absolutely.
Things are kind of tense in that corner of the world.
Mm-hmm. Understatement. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, Dave. I didn't have any of this on my 2023 dance card. That's for sure.
Right.
I know. Isn't it crazy? Dave, where can we get your book?
Well, there's a few places that are carrying it stateside. I recommend going to These Days LA, their website. I know they have some books left, and they're signed. So if you get a book from them, you'll be getting a signed copy. Awesome. You don't have to bother with shipping it to me and then having signed and then shipping it back and all that kind of nonsense. Right. But These Days LA, they have a website and an Instagram that is updated constantly every day. But I recommend getting it through them.
I'll see if I can jump around a little bit. I'll try and find that link. If I can, I'll throw it in the chat too.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we can put stuff up too on the social media for for the show as well. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, the show was up for a couple of weeks. It just closed yesterday. So
Yeah, how did that go? It seemed like a lot of people are really digging that.
yeah, it was a gallery show, and then there was a theater that was running constantly short films and music videos, and then then there was just the space in the gallery hanging up quite a number of photos from the book. Uh, you know,
Yeah, I saw a couple of walkthroughs that people were doing, just like videos and stuff. Some really cool photos, some really cool
hmm
stuff. And what
Yeah,
I
I posted some on my Instagram.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys follow Dave too, and we got Power Films. You guys got your own website, and then Facebook, and then Dave's on
Yeah,
Instagram.
the Instagram is David J Markey, the formal middle initial J, David J Markey on Insta.
Okay, cool.
These days, it seems like so much um, is going on there. It's pretty convenient meeting place.
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, very true. And so yeah, so you got a lot of that going on. And I also wanted to ask you about the Bill Bartell movie that I know that you've been working on. How's
Yeah,
that
we're 2 years in already, and we're close to putting a teaser trailer together. We still have a few key interviews to do. We're actually scheduled to do an interview this week, so excited about that. We haven't shot anything in a while, but we already have about 30 interviews, something like 75 hours worth of conversation.
Wow, that's going to be a lot to sift through, I'm sure.
By the time we're done, we'll have well over 100, I'm sure.
Wow.
A few more key interviews to do, and yeah, it's just been a slower process than I usually work because I'm working with my friend Brian Kehoe, and he's very busy, always sort of taking off with bands and going on the road. And most of this year, he was on the road with the Who, so
Wow.
it was difficult to get together and do stuff. But we're getting back into it, and hopefully, we'll have a teaser trailer together within a few weeks or maybe a month or so.
That's exciting. Yeah. Hey, I was curious. I was digging your CD that you put out of like your compilation of all the different projects that you've done. And I was
Mhm.
curious if you're doing any new music now.
No, 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 no music these days.
Are you still drumming at all?
No, I don't have any gear anymore, but occasionally, if there's an opportunity to play a kit, I will. But it's not anything that I'm really sort of actively involved with. I mean, I have a ton of stuff in the past, and you know, that's where a lot of my music is.
Yeah,
Back
absolutely.
there, back there.
Yep, for sure. No, it's funny. One of my friends had just put out a compilation of Colorado Springs music from the 80s and 90s, and he's got flyers and stuff. And there was a show that his band did with Painted Willie. And,
Oh, really? What was this
yeah,
band?
they were called Six Sense. Um,
And where
yeah,
was the show?
I don't know. I was gonna try and dig out a couple things out of my treasure trove for today. A couple We Got Power things, and so maybe I'll slip away here for a second and try and find it because yeah, he wanted me to mention that on the show because that was cool. Little
Curious to
aside
hear where
there.
that was. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did quite a few national tours. Of course, the big one was in '86 with Black Flag, and then we went out on our own in '87. So, yeah.
Didn't you like make a film tour around that tour, that first one with Black Flag?
Yeah, I shot a film on the road in '86 with Black Flag, and then didn't put it together till 1991. Um, so, yeah, a few years in between the shooting and post production on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Those early films, though, like the Desperate Teenage Love Dolls and Love Doll Superstar, what was the timeline as far as putting those together, production wise?
They were still both about a year apiece of time of working on it and shooting it, and then recording the music for it, putting the soundtrack together. Both of those films had very well distributed soundtrack records that were sort of the calling card for the movie, which at the time was VHS. You know, so yeah, and that sold through this underground networks that just sort of popped up at that time, pre-internet.
Yeah.
When going viral meant, people were buying your VHS tape and dubbing it for their friends, and then their friends were dubbing it for their friends. So it's an old way of doing viral, but it happened. That was a definite culture in the 80s.
How did that all, isn't that funny? I look back at that and I go, how did we know about all of these bands, especially the small ones?
Fanzines,
word of mouth.
Fanzines, word of mouth.
Yeah.
Fanzines, yeah.
Bands touring.
Touring.
There was certainly no national media focus on any of it. Maybe towards the later part of the 80s, some of the bands really kind of hit. And then by the late 80s, some of the bands were signing major label deals. And then, boom, we have the 90s. So
I think the first time I ever saw Desperate Teenage Love Dolls and Love Doll Superstar, we like rented them from Lou's Records. It was like the infamous San Diego record store. Because they would have they'd have like the Decline and like, people were
we're talking VHS, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. VHS.
There's some kind of a VHS revival going on. Like, I've been hearing rumblings about, but I still have a player, but
me too.
Can't say that I use it too much, but I still have a lot of VHS tapes too. I got most of the stuff that any tape that I had any work on at all, I saved. But I did dump a bunch of them because I used to have a giant collection, and anything that was that I picked up on DVD or was able to get through other sources, I did got rid of the old VHSs. But a lot of the stuff, some of it just never even made it that far. Some of it was. So I held on to all the stuff that never made it into the digital world.
Time is now. The time is now.
Exactly. Were you guys big on the stuff? Recording? I always like to record like music stuff and all that off TV too. That was always fun, like Night Flight or something, and just like
even before VHS, I would often make cassette recordings of various things.
I was digging around in an old box the other night, and I came across a band called The Infected, which was my drummer's band in the early 80s, like probably 82, 83, and sat and listened to it. We actually have a cassette player on our stereo. My husband installed one.
Yeah, I have one too.
What a trip, man. It was so cool to listen to them as kids, chatting and calling each other names.
Cassettes is one thing I did not get rid of. I still have.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That. And also I have some 8-tracks too.
Yeah, I do too.
I think there's every format in my place here is represented.
8-tracks are cool because if you can find them, like at Goodwill or whatever, they're like 49 cents. And I mean, if they work, it's hit or miss if they work or not. But if they do,
who would have ever thought when these things were produced 40, 50 years ago that they would even still work?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Well, I was shocked that the cassette played. I thought for sure it would snap or something would happen, but I was able to hear it. It was a little rough at first. I think they age,
Oh yeah.
And then
depends on the brand of cassettes. Some hold up better than others.
Yeah, maybe, probably. And I probably was cheap at the time. I probably, I didn't want to spend more than $1.50. I didn't have more than $1.50.
Tapes were so important in the 80s too, because often that's how people heard bands, like
Yeah.
friends making tapes of stuff and
Yeah.
giving it
Mixtapes.
to other friends. Same thing with the VHS thing. Same thing. Back when you had the ability to record media, and then of course the big pushback from the record labels at the time.
Oh yeah.
Home taping is killing music. Yeah, right.
Right.
I mean, certainly it was the opposite with the kind of music that I was involved with. Home taping was spreading music,
Yeah.
and people were spreading it themselves amongst friends. There wasn't some sort of you know corporate distribution thing going on,
Isn't that
It's
crazy?
true.
and that created quite a different culture, more real in a sense.
For
Yeah.
sure. Tangible, right? So now you can have 40,000 streams on Spotify. And what does it mean? I mean,
It
I don't know.
certainly doesn't mean money, that's for sure.
No, it doesn't mean it at all. I can tell you,
Mhm.
we just got our check and we have 125,000 streams on our album and I think we made $60.
Yeah,
And it's weird.
Wow.
yeah, it's not. Yeah, not happening. It's
Exactly.
not set up for the artists. It's set up for the people that run the streaming platforms.
Most
They're
definitely.
making out like bandits.
That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
Shameful.
true. I'm gonna take a second right now and dig up a couple of things to share with Dave, like I did last time. So because it's fun. So
Yeah.
I got some cool what we got power stuff. So I'm gonna do that. So Nikki, hold it down just for a minute.
Totally. So Dave, I want to just ask you a couple of questions. So can you give me a little bit of background on your photography? Like when did that all start?
The photography started for me when I was 10 years old, actually. Even like, a year or two before I got involved in shooting 8 millimeter film. We're
Oh,
talking
okay.
regular 8 millimeter, not even Super 8.
Yeah.
But that started with me really young. In fact, in this book,
That's
there's some images at the start of the book from my very first film that I made in 1974 as an 11-year-old. And these two images here,
Oh yeah.
which,
Help me out.
that's from
Blurry.
eight
Where?
millimeter film.
Oh, that's from 8.
Scan and yeah, it's just like now we have the technology to scan, tiny piece fragments of film, and that's something that didn't exist until a few years ago.
Well, it's
Yeah.
so beautiful because it's so
Yeah.
when you look at that, it's just artistic in its nature.
Right, and done by a child, really. Like,
Child's
I
eyes.
had no idea what I was doing. I was just doing, and that really for me that predated punk. It was like I like to think that I started the same time as the Ramones did in
Mhm.
'74. Of
Yeah.
course, I was just, a kid,
That's so cool
11,
though.
12 years
That's awesome.
old. But yeah, photography for me started at age 10, and I was always really kind of obsessive with it. And this book is a really good sort of compilation of images starting in the early '70s and going to present day. And a lot of it involves my films, a lot of it involves bands that I was involved with or bands that I was working with, music videos I was shooting, feature films I was shooting, documentaries that I was shooting. So there's a lot of work in here. And also there's a lot of just random photos as well.
Beautiful work from what I could see. I was on there, kind of could see me hunting around on the internet in the background, and I was kind of looking at it. There's some gorgeous imagery in there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think that's going to make a great
I
gift.
wish we had the time I could flip through this and show you
Yeah.
here. It's a really interesting, uniquely laid out book. It's it has
Right up my
an
alley.
external index that you pull out, and it will give you details on every image as you go through it. And the cover itself folds out, and then there's more photos inside
Wow.
the cover,
That's awesome.
and
So
then
get mine.
it sort of works like a flip book When
I
you
love
open it
this
up,
so much.
it's like a normal book, and then to view the images, you turn it this way and continue, and it works like a flip book. So
Yeah.
So much
moving
better.
forward, starting in the 70s, going into the early 80s.
Chronological.
This is a photo that I took of my friend in junior high school, Lenny Kravitz,
No.
who came dressed up as Gene Simmons.
Really?
Halloween 1977. This was my first published photo. It was in the school yearbook. So
That's unbelievable.
that's
How
what I
cool.
scanned. Then of course it's got really
Yeah.
photographs of
Total
Santa
70s
Monica
vibe.
in 1970s where
Yep.
Oh, I
of
love
course
it.
now we look at it, it looks like it's a creation for a film, but it's just kind of like a day in the life, real stuff. So I mean, we could
It's awesome.
scan through this. I'm really fond of all the way the book evolves chronologically. So,
So this
not only do you see my work change and the subjects sort of change,
Yeah.
it just sort of is a good documentation of
it's a time
culture.
capsule. Yeah, absolutely.
And what's
And
so
because
cool,
it's more or less chronological, you know, it offers you to see a natural kind of evolution of culture and time
love
and
dolls.
my work and my
Love it.
films
So
and
great.
a lot of people, various people are. There's a photo still from what we were talking about, the Black
Yeah.
Flag
Yeah, the Black
reality
Flag.
research documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was never officially released, but eventually leaked onto the internet,
That's right.
and
Sublime.
That's right. For
that
inquiring
has
minds.
hundreds of thousands of views. So people eventually did get to see it.
That's a great picture in front of the record store.
This was the first Sonic Youth photo that I ever took in
Oh,
1986.
that's so cool.
It's after knowing them for a couple of
That's
years.
Sonic.
That's awesome.
And there's Kim on a skateboard.
Oh, rad.
And that's right in front of the studio that I used to live at and work at, Spinhead. Sonic Youth were in there at the time recording.
How cool.
Yeah, they had just released those sessions recently. Yeah, they're great. Yeah, there's some great photos that you did for that. Awesome. Artwork for that album. That's really cool that they released that after all these years.
Yeah. There's Painted Willie.
This is awesome.
Kim portraits.
The one
the
and
Apple
only.
Pen, West Los Angeles.
That's so great.
My friend Joe Cole.
Yeah.
Some friends wearing very scary photographic masks at the Grand Canyon.
Oh yeah, I couldn't even tell. That's
It's
so
very
cool.
it's very Devo. Yeah.
Love it.
Stephen McDonald, Red Cross.
Our
we would literally take up the rest of this interview time.
How many? Tell me
all
again,
of this.
Dave. How long is the book? How many pages?
It's like something like 240, 250.
So it's got about that many photos, yeah? Because it's
Yeah.
got all photos, right?
So great.
And again, there's Sofia Coppola as I think she was about 19 years old when she appeared in this music video that I did for Sonic Youth from the Goo album for Mildred Pierce.
And then Thursday.
But yeah, as you go through the photos, it's kind of like, for me looking at it, it's like I remember, it helps you remember periods in my life better than even writing does. And in a sense, it's like a visual autobiography with photos instead of words. The self-portrait that I took, and if you notice the camera, this is shot into a mirror, like a mirror selfie. But this is done in 1990, long before the advent of smartphones and selfies. But it was done analog style. Then we get into 1991.
Yeah.
Which was
everything changed.
Pretty big.
Great time
moment to be involved in that happening at the time. Really
Absolutely.
kind of exciting. And anyways, it goes on and on.
Amazing.
To present day. But we went through to 91, and that's where I'll
thanks
stop.
for that too. It was great.
It's show and tell. It gives you something visual to look at, better than just sort of banter.
Yeah. Well, let's continue with the show and tell. Look at this bad boy.
Party Go Home record.
Yeah. One of my favorite comps. This is such a good one. So many great
It's a
bands.
classic.
40 bands, Nikki, on this bad boy.
Okay, I have to check it out.
It's a very unique record.
All right,
it's
am I going
meant
to
to
be
be
able to
listened
find
start
that?
to finish. Yeah.
You guys carry it up, Glenn?
Oh, man. I mean, some of these bands, I mean, there's so many good bands on this.
All right, I have to do some hunting.
And
if you listen to it start to finish, you really get the feel of it because the idea was get 40 bands doing 1 minute songs, 20 songs aside.
Right
Some of the bands clock in at like 30 seconds. Some of the bands hog up like a minute and a half. Maybe
I just love too how it ends with the live Red Cross song.
Too much.
Yeah.
Pseudo intellectual. All right. And then we'll go here since we're talking about Kim.
VHS.
Yeah. Yep. Mint condition. Bam. So.
Bam.
Yep. A lot of Dave's short films on that one. And this is one of my favorites right here. Slog. Love it.
Slog.
Really like early Red Cross at the pier and like just awesome footage. This is such
I did a 4K scan of that film and it will eventually be released. When? I don't know. It was supposed to be released a few years ago, but pandemic, blah, blah, blah. But if you want to look at what the quality of it is, go to the NoFX video on YouTube for Doors and Fours.
Okay.
Which is all of the footage from the Slog movie, scanned in 4K high res, Super 8 film, scanned to high resolution digital. Again, this is something that wasn't possible until recent days, and I really love the look of the film scanned in high res. It's just
awesome.
It never looked better, never looked more beautiful. Just that Kodachrome 40 or the Ektachrome 160 or the black and white stuff like the Tri-X and 4X film stocks that I was using. It just looks great scanned. It looks like I never would have imagined it seeing. It looks better than if you had a projector and you put the film in and you threw it up against the wall. You're seeing more detail per image than you would even in that. I mean, there was no such thing as high resolution Super 8.
Right. But the grainy quality of some of this old film, I think, is what gives it so much.
The grain and the film stocks, and I also
love it.
But it makes it look more legit in a sense. It looks more.
It's real.
It looks more cinematic. It looks like I never thought these images could have been thrown up on a giant movie theater screen. But whenever I see my work in that setting, it always blows me away because certainly when I was shooting these films, I never would have imagined that they would be playing in a big theater, and to see that
so cool.
Super 8 image on a regular image, where you're normally seeing 35 millimeter, or 70, occasionally 70 millimeter films or whatnot, but it's something that we couldn't do back in the 80s or 90s or even early 2000s. It just really wasn't possible. But
all
now,
of the digital now is so cold,
right. Well, it depends what the source is. It depends on how the film looks. I'm certainly seeing a lot of films that are rescanned, for Blu-ray, and for the most part, for example, I just watched last week a George Martin film called not George Martin, George Romero. George Romero, a film called Martin. Therein lies the mix-up in my mind about it.
Exactly.
But no, we're not going to discuss the Beatles right now, so we'll see that. Enough of that conversation going on anywhere else. But talking about George Romero's Martin, an early '70s film that I just saw that was rescanned for Blu-ray, and it just looks amazing. It's great.
That's good to know. Definitely. Some of that work is being handled right. So, right. So.
One more question, Dave. If I go on your Insta, can I keep up with you, like watching what your projects are, like current stuff? Do you?
Yeah,
a lot or?
I usually I put notice up there like I did.
Okay.
I just recently did a music video for Divine Horseman.
Okay.
But for example, yesterday I just put that up on a reel. So
Nice.
there's a good example.
Okay.
I don't always put every little detail in there, but
sure.
I put lots of photos whenever I'm shooting stuff, like for the Bill documentary that's ongoing. I usually pop a photo up that day of who I'm doing the interview with and whatnot. So
okay,
I keep it fairly up to date.
Good. I'm joining up right now, so I don't forget.
There you go.
And I'm gonna keep
Everyone should
track what you're up to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it is for anyone watching trying to find it and not taking notes. Let me pull up my Insta.
Yeah, let's see if you can. You said it was David J. Markey.
David J. Markey, all one word, just kind of run together.
Okay, I'm getting in there. Awesome. Very cool.
Perfect. All right.
I'm trying to get to the actual profile page.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, please do. By the way, I tried to put the link up for these days and I could not. Glenn just
These days, LA, they're also on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'll
have to do it that way.
If you go to my Instagram, there's a link.
There we go.
There's your link
there, and then
bam.
And These Days LA, the gallery. If you just search These Days LA, it will come up. And
awesome. All right, I'm getting both of those right now. Awesome.
Perfect.
So that is
David J. Markey.
There he is.
Awesome.
You exist. There you are.
Very cool. Well, Dave, we really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun and really looking forward to getting the book. So, yeah. And, second edition.
Anything else you want to get into before we wrap this up?
Just give you a chance to do any shout outs or anything like that. We just really appreciate your time. We really love your work. Myself, been a fan for decades of Sin 34 and We Got Power and stuff. So it's always awesome to have you on. Got to bust out the T-shirt. I think I showed you this last time. That it's in really good condition. So I'm really excited. It's a large though, and I'm a little bigger now, so can't really rock it. So maybe one of my daughters, but like that alone, like Nikki Reed, that in a scene of no values, where climbing your way to the top means climbing into bed.
That's awesome.
Cheap. Well, that's something that I wrote at the time. 100 years ago. I wrote that back in '84. As a way to sell the movie. That was on the original poster, and I hand Letraset rubbed out all the text in that on the original poster.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So cool that you hung on to that too, Glenn.
Oh, I'm a collector. You guys know. Yeah, I always bring stuff out that's fun. I didn't show this, but this really quick too. That's one of my favorite Sin 34 releases. So I love, JFA is so good too. Yeah, you got what a great single that is. So, but yeah, Dave, just thank you so much for all your great work, all the great music, all the positivity, my friend, that you bring into the world is just, it's refreshing. And like all the things that you have coming up are all going to be really like great tributes to a lot of folks. And I just love about how your book kind of weaves in a very personal story, but it's also a very, in my opinion, profound piece of rock and roll history. And I just think that's what a cross section. And
it's the most personal. I think it's the most personal work that I've produced.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Pretty raw, pretty naked.
Definitely. Well, we appreciate everything that you do. And Yeah, well, maybe when the Choco Bartel movie comes out, we can get you on again, right? That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to the Red Cross movie too. So I'm sure you were involved in that.
Oh yeah, I just actually found out today. A friend of mine saw the U.S. premiere of it last night in Minneapolis. And
Oh
he's
my
like, "Yeah,
gosh!
you made the cut." I wasn't even sure until today whether or not they were going to run my
Wow,
interview. Actually,
this gives me
I was
chills.
interviewed at the same time. Jennifer Schwartz and myself interviewed at the same time. Apparently, we made the cut.
Fantastic.
Looking forward to seeing that too.
As it should be. I know. I
They haven't announced an LA date yet, so
I get chills just thinking about that. It's such a man. One of my favorite bands. So yeah, no, it's so exciting. And thank you for documenting them too, like all these years, all the great videos and Macaroni and Me and just all the cool stuff. Just adore those guys. And again, Dave, just can't thank you enough for
Thanks so
doing
much
all the great work.
for the tip on what I'm getting my husband for Christmas.
Yeah, see, there you go. Oh,
there you
Kevin
go.
would love that. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, good chatting with you. And
thanks again, Dave. Happy holidays to you. Congratulations on everything. And we'll look forward to hearing from you in the new year.
All right. Take care.
All right, buddy. Thanks again.
Bye, Dave. Thank you.
Bye, you guys. Have a great night, okay?
Bye.
We'll see you guys next week. Cliff Cunningham. San
Yeah,
Diego punk
Cliff.
rock legend.
Oh,
Yeah.
gangrene. I got rabies.
Yeah.
Stay away from me.
See?
Yeah, social spit.
Daniel's
Yeah,
what's up.
that was like their tracks on that Boston Not LA comp were one of the highlights.
So cool. It's going to be so
Definitely.
much fun. These are great. I love it. I love that we had you on today. That was awesome.
And then Nikki, the week after that, we have Mario Lally. So
Nice.
Oh, I love Mario. Tell Mario.
I know we haven't had him on. Been just like such a
There's
rad
another
dude.
guy that I go way, way, way back with.
Yeah, Dave, we didn't get into that, but yes, I did see you on one of the desert, one of the movies. They interviewed you quite a bit, and it was really cool to see. I didn't realize that connection with those guys, but perfectly
He
makes
lived
sense.
in LA for a while in the early '80s, and that's when we first connected.
Yeah. Oh, I see a cat. Yeah, no, we love Mario's music so much. Like, yeah, everything he's done is.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff over the years.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's definitely one of those guys. So again, thank you so much. We could talk forever. And again, we just really appreciate you.
Keep it short and sweet, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to take too much of your time. Leave them wanting more, right? All right. Thanks. We'll see you guys next week. All right. You guys have a good night.
Bye, guys. Good night.